Yo, how is everyone? I I'm usually early. And I'm actually late. Um oh my word. It's been a nightmare. Put these on so I can actually hear. Can I hear? Yes, we've got sound. How is everyone? How is everyone? Um well, at least no one's going to miss anything today. No one's going to miss anything. But I am just going to have to go back into a screen that I was in that I wanted to share with y'all. Right, let's go up onto here. It was this. That was the one. Go on to here. I'm going to put this. It wasn't actually that, was it? No, it doesn't matter. It wasn't that important. I'll tell you what I will do though. Let's get this here, and I'm also going to get us all in the mood. And relax together. So there's been a lot happening. Been quite shocking, some of the things that I've seen, I must say. Been a little bit what can I say? I don't feel that this has been handled very well. Bit of a trigger warning, let's just say that. We're going to talk about some stuff that is obviously not ideal for everybody to listen to, but I think that we have to address it, and I will try to be as diplomatic as possible. Well, when I say diplomatic, it's not really about being diplomatic. I think it's about considering everything. Do you know what I mean? This isn't like you guys have likely seen some of the other channels, and I'm a little bit annoyed actually because it's want me to slow chat. See, normally I slow chat, and when I slow chat, everyone moans at slow, and then when I don't slow chat, you tell me I've got to slow it. It's one of them. But look, I'm not going to slow it. And I'll tell you why I'm not going to slow it, because next time when I slow it, I'm going to remind you of this. Someone has said music is distracting. Number one, if you want music. Number two, if you don't. So one, we keep background music. Number two, we get rid of it. And we'll carry on. And what I'm just going to do, I'm just going to go into my emails. Now, I was already, so I'm a little bit unprepared, but mainly because everything went wrong. So one we keep, two we get rid of. Someone's put number 3. Is there a lot of 2s? 111. It's about 50-50 by the look of it, isn't it? Is it 50-50? 50-50? I don't know. There's 1s and 2s. Ones and 2s. What I'll do, what's going on there? Right, let's just put that. I'm going to maximize that. Whatever happened to my windows? My windows jumped off me. Don't know what happened there. Aren't they on either? Let me have a look and see what I can do. Let me just go into this, I should be able to change it. Let's just go on to here, and I'll see if I can go into customization. We'll put slow mode. I'll put a slow mode on 60 seconds. So that will just do that. and captions I thought captions would be on already. Let me just have a look for you and see whether they are or not. Yeah, the captions should be on. They are on, so I don't really know what happened there. I do apologise. Maybe I've just slowed that down, so hopefully that'll slow it down. I've just put a 60-second delay on that. But I'm going to go into this here. So what do we got? Let me just get rid of... Let me get into emails here and just put it on the right email. I don't know what's happened there. Get rid of the preview. Don't want that. Just want bloody emails. How hard is it to get emails up? Right, let's get emails up. I don't know what this computer's doing tonight. It's doing me in. Absolutely doing me in today. Right, let's get rid of that. Oh my god, what was it doing? So, you like the music? Yeah, I quite like the music. We'll go through it all, don't worry. We'll get there, we'll get there. All I'm trying to do is open a fucking email. How difficult is it? Right, there we go. Let's do that. So is that now maximized on the screen? Yeah. So let's share this screen. So let's share this. Share screen. I'll share that one. Share. And we'll put that there. Right, so what we've got here is let me just get out of here. It's done it again, isn't it? What is it doing to me? Just had it like that. Right, look. Right, so we have got the Jared Leiseks situation. We got there in the end. The music is really annoying you. God, you can't please some people, can you? You can't please some people. I'll turn it off while I'm talking. Let me just go on to here. What's going on? Alright, let's get rid of that then. Let's get rid of that. I'll pause that, look. Save all you people moaning, look. What's this? What options Leisek in the comment? Exactly. Look, right. So I don't know how you guys all feel about this. There's obviously a lot of stuff to take in. There's a lot of stuff to to I don't know. It's like I've just saw someone mention, look, and I had seen Cinema Shogun. He was covering the Quentin Simon case, and look, I thought to myself, this guy, he's talking about this case. He seems to have his finger on the pulse with this case, certainly, and I think he's, I don't know whether he knows someone who's close by or whatever, and he's the issue that you've got is that I think he's gone a bit over the top with it. I think that this is now about him milking the situation. He knows that people are kind of there's the people getting bent about the shape. There's the people who, it's this more crama than true crime. And sadly, people do thrive off a bit of crama. And do you know what I mean? This is, I see some people here saying 17 is not a child. And yeah, 17 is not a child. I agree with that. But I also think that we have to consider, and this is either going to be a popular opinion or an unpopular opinion, but what you've got to think is if right, say it was your child, say you had a child and they were 16, 17 years old, and this happened. You found out that they had done this with a relative, a girl, whatever. Would you then write your child off? Would that be it? Would you think to yourself, right, that's it? You know, that's it. There's done. There's no comeback from that. There is nothing now that this person can do to remedy what they've done. Do you know what I mean? How many people can say that their entire life, like what did any of us do at 16, 17 years old? Do you know what I mean? Well, imagine if you had the first 17 years of your life to dictate the rest of your life, and that was it. That was it. And if you fucked up before you was 18 years old, that's it. Done deal. That's it. Do you know what I mean? It's a difficult one. It's, you know, it doesn't take the pain of the victim away. And that's what we have to think. Look, you know, the victim is still a victim. And we can't ever forget about that, because there is a flip side of the coin, you know, where there's, for every action, there's a reaction. And the action that Jared supposedly took was the reaction that it's had an effect on this girl. And, you know, I wouldn't wish that on anybody. But first of all, we can't discuss Adventures with Purpose and Jared like they're one thing, one entity, because they're not one entity. They are two separate entities. You know, they are, you know, let's get this. There's definitely a better way to put the information out there to say some of the things I've heard. And that's right. You know, I thought, we don't know, and I'm not, please do not think that I'm okay in what he's done, because I don't. And as much as, you know, we can say there's two sides to it, we don't know. He could have just been evil. He could have just been evil. But we don't know that. He done it twice though, at least. But still is the same age group. You know, we don't know whether he's done it as an adult. You know, Jared said, I would not change anything, no remorse. Yeah, so I will admit that there's some things that you could potentially say, but I don't get it. I don't understand why there is no considered remorse. And is there something that we have to consider as to why there isn't? You know, is there more to it? You know, you're right. You know, the person, the 9-year-old cousin was the victim. Amen. But was he also a victim? You know, was he also a victim? We heard that he, you know, and some people say that it's justification. He was trying to say that he did it because people did it to him. But we, you know, this Mormon and this religious upbringing that we we don't know everything about it. And I just think that we can be judge, jury, and executioner, but it's a hard one. Life isn't just black and white, is it? It isn't just black and white. And, you know, I think it's very unfair for Adventures with Purpose as a whole to be having some of the stuff said about them that they're having said about them because of what Jared has done, when nobody knows anything about that other than what has come out. And there's a little bit about the timing of it as well. It's almost like the strike happened when Adventures with Purpose were at their weakest point, you know. And look, I'm not trying to make an excuse. Someone's put, you know, no excuse, Harsh. So, you know, all the people who say there's no excuse, Harsh. So what I want you to do now, I want you to consider that. I want you to consider the no excuse. There's no excuse for it. So if you believe that you have the first 17 years of your life, and if you fuck up in them first 17 years of your life, then you may as well quit, then I want you to put a number 1 in chat. But if you think that's a stupid way to consider life, then put a number 2. So again, number 1, if you are saying to me that if you fuck up in the first 17 years of your life, you're done. You might as well give up. And number two, if there's a little bit more complexity than that. And thank you so much, Kathy. The victim is indeed a victim, but the timing is interesting. Jared is an individual and will pay for his own deeds if found guilty. Jared is not adventure with purpose. Shogun is acting like Bullhorn Betty. That's it. So I see as a lot of twos. Come on, be brave. If you know, because that's what you're saying. You know, if that's what you're saying, to say that there's no excuse, there's no nothing, then that's what you're saying. You're saying that the first 17 years of this guy's life then has to end. Once you've surpassed what you've done, then that's it. Then why is there rehabilitation? There's nothing, you know, then don't rehabilitate anybody. Just what are we saying? And you know, somebody's term. What was that? I'm sorry, he is an adult. Should not. I'm sorry, he as an adult should know now not to make her still suffer. He's still putting the blame guilt trip on her. Not good enough. Now I do think that there was some gaslighting in there, certainly. And like I said, it's almost like he doesn't understand it. Whether that was part of their upbringing, I don't know. And I'm not going to pretend to know. I'm just keeping an eye on the chat just to see if there's anything from the ones. So someone's put, you are a cook at that age. Once a pedo, always a pedo. There is no such thing as rehabilitation. But if that's the case, Mrs. Kelly, then we could just, what you're saying is there will be more victims. There will be people coming forward from now, since that age. Let's not forget that Jared, this happened and he left the country. As a young lad, he up sticks, left. And like I say, left the country. Now, some people, you're going to have two camps, and there's going to be camp A that says he ran off, he was running away, he knew what he did, and he left the country to get away with it. And then there'll be the others who was like, what was he you know, did he understand what was so wrong? And he decided, this isn't right. I need to get out of this, and I need to put fucking things right. You know, at the moment, we do not know anything. We know that he's been accused of doing this, and it's more than likely is that it happened. And that's as much as we know. That's as much as we know. We do not know anything. What someone put there. What grown man doesn't know, right? But again, I agree, but he wasn't a grown man at the time. You know, he will understand it as wrong, but what can he do about it? What can he do about it now? You know, it's you know, I don't know. I think this is a lot different than making stupid teenage mistake harsh. And it's not like Romeo and Juliet, who was senior, fell for a freshman girl. And again, I know, but we don't know the mitigating circumstances of it. What was his upbringing like? What was the religious background? What was, you know, he was under his grandparents' care because his parents had tossed him out like a piece of crap. Do you know what I mean? We are at that age when we are growing up, we are products of our environment. We are molded by what there is around us. We're taught, you know, everything that we know. What was he taught? Because it sounds like, from what I've read, that he was taught that things like that weren't wrong. And he can now look back on it, and like I say, he hasn't handled it. He's handled it awful. You know, it appears that he was gaslighting her. But this has been going on for months and months and months, by the way. And we don't know what was going on in the background. We've had a snapshot of what was said. But I'll take some comments down in here, because again, this is This is a hard one, but I'm not going to go down the route of the likes of what Cinema Shogun has and start saying that. I'm just not going to do that. And if you expected me to jump on that bandwagon and start calling Adventures with Purpose every name under the sun, then fuck off, because I ain't. It's not as simple as that, and I will not just consider a life over because of something that happens or someone does before they're 18. I cannot do it. And I'd love for any of you who have got children under 18 to tell me what you would do in this situation, whether you would just write your child off. You know, it's a difficult one. He ran to avoid the consequences, but he was 16, 17 years old. I hope he spends years in prison or is dropped off in the middle of the Alaskan wilderness with nothing to survive on. I have no mercy for any. Yeah. But again, he was borderline a child himself. At 17 years old, you do not have the capacity to be an adult. If we lived our life throughout our life with the same mentality as a 17-year-old, we would not get very far in life. And anybody who turns around and says 17 is an adult, you know the difference between right and wrong and all that, they don't. They just don't. You know, I don't have the same mind now as I did when I was 17 years old. And that is as simple as that. And you can be in denial all you like and make the excuse that, you know, at 17 you're considered an adult or whatever. It's not that simple. And life isn't that simple. It's a hard one. And I don't think this is, you know, like someone's put innocent until proven guilty. Like, I'm not saying he's not guilty. And that's the difficult thing. You know, I don't think this guy is innocent. In fact, I pretty much know that he's done what was said of him. But what I'm trying to say is, you can't say that doing something at 17 dictates your entire life. And the people around Jared who are part of this team, if they knew what was, you know, did they know more about it? Has he been open and remorseful to them? Has he said, you know, has he told them everything about it and been open and honest, and they have made a decision because of that honesty? Has he gone to them and said, look, this is what I did, and I want to spend my whole fucking life putting it right, and I want you guys to be part of it? And, you know, and here we are. We're here now, because two things are going to happen here, and that is that this will ruin Adventures with Purpose. It will completely ruin them, and then will everybody be happy about it? No facts yet, so it shouldn't be treated as facts. It's not facts as in the law, certainly not, but the emails and everything, they pretty much, that's from him, and all the court paperwork, that's it. Harsh, if you found out your daughter was, you know what, by a relative. Yeah, but what you're saying there, Jeff, is a valid point, because then there's two sides to that. I'll put it back to you. What would you do to your son if your son at 16 years old, you found out that he was doing it to a female in your family? Would you then write your son off for the rest of his life? And I think that's a valid question. You know, it's much respect, Harsh, but this is too triggering for me. No, and I get that. You know, we said at the beginning, and I said yesterday, you know, this live is not going to be for everyone, and it's not. It's a hard one. It's a hard one. This is, if she was 9 and he was 17. That's it. They were the ages. Jared is 47 now, so go and do the math. But pretty much it was he was either 16 or 17 and she was 9. Someone's put zero excuses for his disgusting choice as a 17-year-old, and even now, in my opinion, what's going in many mansions, please, he's got no remorse, he's disgusting, and you are entitled to that opinion. Someone has put, if my son did this, I would turn him over to the police immediately and disown him forever. And, you know, there will be some people that do. But again, this is what you're saying, Jeremiah, is that you have got the first 17 years of your life to dictate whether you're going to be a good or a bad person. How many people turn to God later in life and become ministers, become priests after a bad start? You know, they might be heroin addicts. They might be, you know, the whole 9 yards. And something happens. It might be a near-death experience. It might be that they are involved in the death of somebody else, and you know, they turn to God as a way to rectify what they did. It happens. It happens. And, you know, no one is talking about writing him off, though. We're talking about him receiving justice for an alleged crime. That's not hard, harsh. That's just the law. Jory, trust me, there are people writing him off. You say no one is writing him off? Go over to Cinema Shogun's channel, watch his videos that he's pumping out every so often throughout the day, and look at the comments in there. You know, this is a case of under the bus. Under the bus. What's this? Our brains don't even stop growing until 25, regardless. And that's female. Females mature much quicker than what guys do. You know, I know people who are in their 20s who are like 12-year-olds. You know, I sometimes act like a fucking 12-year-old. You know, you need to pay for your crimes and yes, you do. Lessons you've learned. He needs to face justice system. He committed the ultimate crime. And, you know, Miss Kelly, you are clearly very opinionated on the subject, and I get it. Your point has been well and truly noted. You know, I don't know whether you have children yourself, whether you have a son. And if not, let's just hope that your son doesn't ever do anything wrong that might mean that you have to consider whether you forgive him or not. There was a guy who, has anybody heard of the killer Paris Bennett? Paris Bennett killed his sister, and he killed his sister to get at his mum. And he pretty much done it because he just had a deep-seated hatred for his mum. And he knew that if he killed his little sister, he would basically do the ultimate pain to his mum, because he'd contemplated killing his mum. But he knew that if he killed the sister and took her away and he went to prison, that was worse. And do you know what? Mum forgave him. You know, and what we're saying here is that people should just be written off. You know, it's hard. Also, I don't agree. Harsh has not screwed himself today. And like, you know, I'd love anybody to try and discuss this and please everybody. You know, and like I said, sad to see chat say they would disown kids forever. Yeah. You know, it's a difficult one because we're touching on stuff that is really, really upsetting, and we can't ever forget that there is a victim in this. You know, there is a victim in this. I know the story. This kid is creepy. Paris Bennett, he was a psychopath. He was a young boy and he was a psychopath. But like I say, this isn't about forgetting the victim. This isn't about that, and please don't think it is, because it's not, because there is a victim in this, and she cannot be forgotten about. But what I'm seeing here is that people are just, what we're saying is we've got to write people off if they do something at 17 years old. Imagine if, great to see you too. Imagine if Jared would have been found out at 17. He'd have been found out. It was done. It was sorted. Would we have then just written him off for the rest of his life? Is that what we're saying? I don't know. And I get there's a like I hear some of you. Some of you are saying, look, he just needs to go through the law, the process, and be punished by law. And I hope that happens. I hope that happens. But it's not quite as simple as what some people on some channels are trying to say, and the depths that they're going and the things that they're saying. That's what I'm kind of trying to defend. I'm not trying to defend Jared's actions, because again, I've seen some stuff. Jared doesn't Jared come from a Mormon background? He does. He does come from that background, and again, there's a lot that we don't know about. There's a lot about Jared's past that we likely haven't seen, haven't heard. And what we're saying is that doesn't matter. Whatever happened to Jared up to the point where this happened, it doesn't matter. We just have to forget about that, consider what he did, and punish him and scrap him. It's all done. Cat Spade, truthfully, there's nothing that would make me turn my back on my kids. I may be devastated by whatever they've done, but I'm always going to be mama. And that right there is a true parent. That is someone who understands that there is unconditional love. I think has got far too easy in humanity now, is just to take the moral high ground and be like, nah, fuck it, not interested, fuck them. And do you know what I mean? It's that's what's wrong with the world. It's not about that people haven't got an opinion anymore. It's that people are just so cutthroat and hateful now. That's what the issues are. People are hateful. Have any of people in chat made mistakes in their life? They perfect? Should they be disowned too? And that's it. It may be what we're saying is, well, you can do this to somebody or do that, and that's fine, but you can't do that because that's not fine. I do feel that what Jared has got a responsibility to do now is to cut the rest of Adventures with Purpose loose. I think what he needs to do is to step up as an individual who has obviously done something that's going to upset people, and understand that it's going to hurt what these guys do. It's going to hurt them. And I think he needs to now make a decision on how he's going to handle it, in terms of, thank you, Kitty Cat. Then you are being a hypocrite about Dom Wells. We'll come back to Dom Wells in a second. Like Dom, well, let's cover Dom Wells now. Dom Wells, we had the same situation with Dom Wells. Mary came forward regarding what happened to her at a time when Summer had gone missing. Dom Wells was at his lowest, and we seem to keep doing this. We seem to keep seeing situations where people have years and years and years. I will come back to that, Peggy, about stepping away from AWP. I will come back to that. I haven't finished that. But yeah, the timing of things, the timing, I just find so odd that these people tend to wait until there is, like with like with Don Wells, that was Chris from Over the Interview Room, 100%. He set that ball rolling. So who set this ball rolling? And I know, as in terms of Jared, the situation with his cousin had been online for a long time. So those who say that it only started when Kiely Rodni case was about, that's not the case, because this had been going on for months and months and months. This had been all over Reddit, all over Facebook. She had been going for the throat for months and months and months. But to go and take it legally, someone may have pushed her in that, give her the little nudge that she needed to get her over the line. And I wouldn't put it away from potentially certain people to have perhaps, put it over the line. What nobody is getting is he was raised this way. It had happened to him, which made him think it was okay. He has tried to apologize and he sounded remorseful. Yes, it was wrong. No question. Nobody is perfect. And that's it. In a nutshell, that is it. If you are raised, it's like traveler kids. It's like traveler kids. And if you're not familiar with who traveler kids are, these are people call them gypsies, travelers. My great grandmother was a Romany gypsy. These were people who they were raised to make money by any means necessary. They would do whatever needed to be done to raise money, and they had this mentality from a young age, and they knew no better. That was who they were, what they were, and they lived their entire life this way. It's like someone making excuses for him. It's not about making excuses for him at all. What you're doing is you're listening to me talk, and you're picking the bits out that you find the most triggering to you. It's not about making excuses. I'm not. I've literally said that it would appear that he's done what was said of him. So that's not making excuses. What I'm saying is you don't know, I don't know anything about what led up to what happened. And just because we've led, was raised properly, had loving parents, had loving families, some people don't. They don't have loving families, and he didn't have a loving family. He didn't have one. He was going through the system, and eventually was taken in by his grandparents because his parents weren't interested. So someone's put, emails can be fabricated. These messages were extremely oddly worded, but also a living late time found the metadata screenshots went through a photo app. Yeah, because the pictures what he had were through a photo app, I would imagine. Unless you've got the original picture, the metadata won't really help you. They're definitely real. The emails are definitely real. In fact, let me just go to I'll go to my emails and I will get the emails up. If I can actually get rid of the preview, quit preview. Let's go on to the email itself. Can we roll through? Yeah. I'm just going to come back. I'll share my screen and let's have a look. Because again, some of the things what he did, I do feel were quite he was being a bit, how can I say, let me get this off the screen. Hide current comment. Let's go back over here. So no, it's not about making excuses for him whatsoever. Like, let's 9 or 10, living in Utah, and you force me to have with you on my bathroom floor upstairs. You were 6 or so years older than me, so that makes you 12. So that makes you older than 12. I think there was an argument about the age here. I'm just going to go heads. Look, the AWP support team. So these are the emails on screen. You can see AWP support team. You know, there's quite a few emails. Is a shakedown. She says you got the evidence. You know, I'm not going to get into a debate on whether these are real emails or not, because you know they're real, and like I'm gonna just come back up here with regards to making excuses. It's not about making excuses, Athena. It's what we're doing is we're talking about a 40-year-old, 47-year-old guy now, but he wasn't 47 when he done what he did. And what I'm saying is, what you're saying is that a 17-year-old, if they make this mistake, that's it. There's no coming back from that. You know, someone said once a pedo, always a pedo. Unless it goes through the system and we find out that he's been doing this all of his life and there is multiple victims throughout his life and he's been doing this as an adult, then that's not the case, is it? That's not the case at all. The case of what happened if he did this as a 16, 17-year-old boy after coming out of the system, and then after he did it, left the country and turned his entire life around and used the rest of his life up to this age to help people, then what are we saying? You know, it's you know, that's not making excuses. I'm not making excuses at all. You know, I'm saying he did it. I'm just saying it's not black and white in terms of writing someone off at 17 years old. And I can't do it. You know, too many people, like someone's just put this beach Brie. Everyone wants to make this a black and white issue, but I agree it's a lot more complex than that. Even the law recognizes that things are not black and white by allowing sentencing discretion. And you know, that's it. You know, I've read the emails as well. And you know, I get he was raised this way. This was okay. He was once a victim, but he did become a perp. He is guilty, even if it was in past tense. He does. No, I do agree. I do agree that he deserves some punishment, and that's not what we're arguing here. We're not arguing about. I'm not saying the guy shouldn't be punished. What I'm saying is, when you listen to the likes of Cinema Shogun and listen to these channels that are talking about this, they are not saying, oh, he should just go through due process and go through the legal system so they can look at everything. You know, because we don't know anything. You know, we just don't know at 17 how much damage had been done going through the system. I didn't go through the system. I had parents, you know. I was brought up nice, not in a nice way to a degree. You know, I had some tragic things happen sort of as I was in my teens, sort of 14 onwards, and that certainly impacted me in a certain way. You know, my mum suffered from severe depression. My father was a violent and abusive husband who beat my mum up, and we witnessed that. It got so bad that my mum tried to take her life several times and eventually succeeded. And it impacted me in a certain way. And depending on how you are brought up and the things that go on through your life, it does impact you. And that's that's just as simple as it is. And if people want to try and turn this into a black and white situation, then I'm sorry, but it's not a black and white situation. It's the black and white is he did something. Should he be punished? Yes, he should. He should be punished, 100%. And I 100% say he deserves to go through the process and be punished in accordance with the law. But Adventures with Purpose as a whole, as an organization, shouldn't be pulled down with him, and it does have to be taken into consideration that he was the age he was. It does have an impact. It does make it different. It's just the way it is. And as much as that's going to upset some people to hear, I appreciate that it's going to upset some people to hear. But it's right. Athena, most pedos are incurable. So again, I state again, Athena, then what we're going to find out then is that he has been doing this throughout his life. There will be multiple people coming forwards, and because he's 47. So if he's been doing this, then we're going to find out that there is a lot more victims, because you're saying he's incurable, he was a pedo, yada, yada, yada. He was 17. He was old enough to know better, yes, but we don't know about his upbringing. And we can argue until we're blue in the face. Some people are going to write off kids. A 17-year-old, in my eyes, is a kid. And if you think because it makes you feel better to attack someone, that a 17-year-old is an adult, then you're very, very naive. You're very, very naive, I'm afraid, and that's my opinion. If you class a 17-year-old as an adult, then it's strange. Innocent until proven guilty. He had apologized to her mother. The whole family has had issues and had been sexually assaulted. I'm not saying he's not guilty. And this is what I'm saying. He had been abused himself. He had been through the system because his parents had abandoned him. This went on for years. He was then taken in by his grandparents. And, like some people, if he hasn't been rehabilitated, he will repeat that criminal behavior. When you say repeat that criminal behavior, we're talking about something that happened 3 decades ago. So again, I think that what we need to say is there more victims then throughout his life? Oh my God, Peter Harsh is saying Jared's alleged actions shouldn't bring down the entire AWP team. It shouldn't bring the whole bring down the entire AWP team. No. So do you disagree with that? So are we saying that the whole of AWP should now bring them down? I don't really see who benefits from that. I certainly don't. If there's people in chat, like put a number 1 in chat if you now think that AWP should quit, go home. Number 1 in chat if you think that AWP now should quit, call it a day, shut up shop, and go home. And a number 2 if you want to see AWP continue. Be interesting. He could have done it again and still be. We do not know that, so it may not be 30 years ago. You're right, he might. And that's what due process is. Now, like the Me Too movement, maybe we will see a load of people come out of the woodwork and tell their stories. Maybe we will. And if that's the case, then that's a completely different kettle of fish then, isn't it? A completely different kettle of fish is that the people who said that once a pedo, always a pedo, they're right. That's it. But at the moment, what it seems to be is that he done something within the family. Harsh, would you work with him? Would I work with him? It's a difficult one. You've caught me on the spot because I don't know anything about it. So would I work with him knowing what I know? No, I wouldn't, because I don't know enough. I don't know enough to make that decision. I don't know anything about Jared. All I know is what we've seen here. And that's it. I don't know enough to write him off yet. I'm not saying that I won't ever write him off, because things might come out, that then makes us think, oh my God, something really, this has gone on and on and on, and he's done loads of things. But I think from what we know and the information that's out there at the moment, there is not enough to turn around and say this is done. And Harsh, totally agree with you. It was a horrible thing he did, but you have to look at the situation in its entirety and not instantly judge. I've heard some horrific comments from other creators, and that's it. Do you know what I mean? There are certain content creators who I have told people, I'll come to this in a second. It's gone. I'm old. I'm old and it's gone. I'll touch on this. That'll come back to me. You have young girls and a wife. Would you allow him into your home? Do you feel he's safe on the streets that your family may be on? Again, June, I don't know enough about the situation. I don't know enough about the situation. I do know, however, and this is a fact, that there are brothers and sisters out there who have experimented sexually together. It's something that is known to happen. Siblings that practice on one another. Are we saying that they are, or the boy is a pedo because he does that with his sister? It's what happens. As far as this question, I don't know. At the moment, I'd have to say I wouldn't allow him into my home because I don't know enough about it. So there is still that element of doubt, but he has to go through due process to get to find that information out. If you worded that, would you write him off and think, chuck him in prison, throw away the key? Then I'd also say no, because I don't know anything about the story. I don't know enough to make that judgment. Not true, Multi. I've been molested multiple times, multiple people, and I'm no victim. I'm a survivor. I'm a fighter, and I've forgiven all those who've trespassed against me. I'm very, very sorry to hear this, Dawn. And it's maybe to me the answer is no, only because we don't know him. Would you allow someone you don't know into your home? And that's it. You've hit the nail on the head. They call me Mimi. I wouldn't let any guy into my home around my daughters or son. Anybody. I wouldn't let a female. There are females who are just as monstrous as males. So we have to consider that. This isn't black and white. Too many people are trying to turn this into a black and white situation, and it's not. You look at different creators and the way that they are seeing that this is helping their channel because they're jumping onto a popular narrative and manipulating people who are easy to manipulate for their own gain. And it's they themselves are not considering enough. They're just not considering enough. Maybe as a parent, it means that you have to open your eyes. Damn straight, got to protect my little girls. When I was 12, my best friend claimed she would be an SA'd. We got her dad arrested. 6 years later, she admitted to lying. Not all victims are victims. There is that. It's a difficult one. Do you have any questions? I think we've gone on a bit of a rant. That was a quick, nearly an hour. What I would just want to say before we wrap this up, because I'm not going to carry on this because it's just going to turn into something it's not. And I'm going to go out on two things. First of all, I'm going to change the banner. Just so we can get something up here. Donate to me. I love money. No, we don't want that one. We want that one. What I'm going to say is, look, we all have a right to an opinion, and we're all going to have different opinions. People who are parents are going to feel ultra sensitive to this. People who are victims are going to be ultra sensitive to this. People who know victims are going to be ultra sensitive to this. And at the end of the day, there is a victim in this, and that victim deserves to be listened to, and to have the person who has hurt her go through the process. She should be able to see that, and especially if she's lived her life and suffered because of it. And we don't know how much she suffered. You know, we don't know, and I certainly won't pretend to know how much she suffered and how much it has impacted her life, but it obviously has. And he deserves to go through the process that is there, the law. But nobody should be turning around and saying, look, this guy at 17 years old was an adult, because he wasn't. He wasn't. Let me just put this here. Someone put this here. The bloody chat keeps jumping. It drives me nuts. Harsh, you were so wrong justifying his age. He wasn't 17 with a 16-year-old. She was not. It doesn't. What so? Look, and this is why, because we just go round and round in circles. What I'm saying, Katja, is a 17-year-old isn't an adult. I, at 17 years old, wouldn't be able to. Let's put it this way: I have 5 children. Put number 1 in chat, right? This will set this to bed, okay? And I want you to be honest. Every single fucking one of you, I want you to be honest and think about this question before you answer, right? I have 5 children, 4 girls, 1 boy. Okay. Now, at 17 years old, do you think I would be adult enough to raise them children, to make sure that they are clothed, fed, everything that needs to be done to raise them into adulthood without issues, without anything, and to become decent human beings without any issues whatsoever? At 17 years old, could I do that? Number 1 in the chat if you think yes. And I don't mean me as harsh and you're being nice. I want you to think, at 17 years old, would I have the capacity to understand everything that they need, everything they want, the things that need to be sacrificed, the understanding of what it takes to be a parent at 17 years old? Would I know that? Number 1 in chat if you think that yes, I would. And number 2 if you think no, I wouldn't. 2 no, 1 yes. And let's see how many ones there are that says yes. At 17 years old, you are mature enough to raise children, be an adult, take them into parenthood, and do everything that needs to be done. You know, one as much as anyone else. There's always one, isn't there? There's always one. So good job. I respect everybody's opinion. And, you know, there will be the ones that turn around and say, look, and what I do want to say is there are people who have been in that situation. They've had to. I'm not saying that you can't be a young parent and do well. I'm certainly not saying that. But what I am saying is there would be some difficulties there. There would be some struggles there. 100%. As a 17-year-old, you're not going to give your children the life that you would if you was an adult yourself and working. You're not going to. Not unless you come from a wealthy background, you're not. 100%. And what's this? It known later it was wrong. They should be able to try and make amends, not years later go to court. Peter is not a horrid mistake. And like I say, I appreciate everybody's opinion. I just hope that no one has children and their child makes a mistake that they will have to forgive them for. I was pregnant at 17, and without my mum's help, I couldn't have done it. You know, and that's it. And there, like I say, there are people who become fantastic parents because it's forced upon them. I know people who, at 16, 17 years old, are having to look after their parents or their parent. So there is, there are extra special people. There's extra special people. And this guy, bad analogy. It's not a bad analogy. You just disagree with it. And you have a right to disagree with it. It's not at all. What I'm trying to get to you is that 17-year-old isn't old enough to make all of the decisions that need to be made to push them through their entire life. And someone can fuck up very bad at 17 because they haven't got the brain capacity to work out what the fuck is right and wrong, and if they've gone through a specific trauma themselves or they've been through it and they think it's okay, it's going to impact them. And that's it. That is it. And this has been hard. It's been hard. And we can't all agree, and we won't all agree, but I respect every single one of you. I respect every single one of you. I'm close to unsubbing to you, Harsh. Well, what I'll say, multi-chat, is unsub, because I don't want to feel that you are here if you don't want to be, and I'm not going to say things that people want me to say because it makes them feel better. I'm going to say what needs to be said because it's a fact. And that's it. So please, if you're thinking about unsubbing, unsub, because go and subscribe to Cinema Shogun. He really fucking hates everybody. I say everybody. Let's not forget that he was sticking up for Billy Joe a few days ago, and this is a person who was involved in the fact that her grandchild is now missing, and this silly motherfucker was sticking up for her. But yet there we go. I don't know. Fucking hell. There we go. Harsh reality. Well said. Well done. May the pure light of truth, love, and respect and presence shine upon you and your missus, upon all creation, always and always. Thank you very, very much. And like I say, this isn't I'll upset some people, of course I will. I won't be subbing here after this disgusting mess. No, and look, if you're subscribed over at Cinema Shogun, or you're just not capable of listening to reason, then look, there we go. I can't win them all. And do you know what? I'm not trying to win them all. I'm just somebody who understands that life ain't black and white. We can try and make it. Thank you very much, Robin. We can try and make it. We can try and make it black and white. And, sometimes some things are, but I'm not going to just say what's popular. I'm not going to say. I hope that Adventures with Purpose survive this. They've got a load of shit coming their way. They've had a load of shit come their way since the Kiely Rodni situation. I listened to Cinema Shogun again today, and this ain't hate on Cinema Shogun, by the way. The guy's obviously got a fucking bee in his bonnet, and I've had a bee in my bonnet before. He doesn't like Adventures with Purpose, clearly. He feels that because of their connection to Jared, that the whole fucking place should be blown up. It's... I just don't know. Life just ain't that simple. I wish it fucking was. I wish it was. I do wish it was. But I'm gonna love you all and leave you, because I think that's put people through their paces tonight. I'd like to thank you all for being part of this live. We're gonna see it come out over the next few days. It's I just hope I'll leave you with this. I hope that he gets to go through the process. I hope that this girl gets the answers. I hope she gets to see him punished for what he did. But I just hope that we as a world can do better to understand that things aren't black and white. They're not black and white. And children, they deserve a better start in life, because if they don't, things can go real wrong, and it can affect a lot of people's lives. And maybe that's what we've seen here. We don't know, but perhaps what we've seen is an example of when someone doesn't get the start in life that they needed to. They don't get to be taught what's right and what's wrong, or they become connected to some religious situation that manipulates them into thinking that heinous things are not, and it destroys people's lives. We've got to do better. The world has got to do better. You know, I love you all. It's been a difficult one tonight, but I will catch you all tomorrow. Take care. Peace.